Welcome to Inside Track with Bruce Ash and Ed Wilkinson on the Live the Dream Media Network.
Hi there. Welcome to another edition of Inside Track. Obviously, I am not Bruce Ash.
No, you're not.
And that is not Ed Wilkinson.
I hope not.
Although...
I like Ed, but I don't want to be him.
They're away on business, so
Monkey
Bruce...
business.
Well, maybe so. Who knows? If we would be so kind to sit in on the program, and we said, why not?
And I said, are you crazy?
We always have a hoot when we're here,
Yeah.
and we have something even more special, I think, coming up. Well. That would be our buddy Todd Roberts in the Los Angeles area. I can move this mic that way so that we don't have to screw with the camera shot there. Okay.
Oh, who cares? Nobody wants to look at us anyway.
I know. So anyway,
Where's his chuckly face?
We'll find him here shortly. I mean,
Okay.
I like the blinds there on the split screen. And anyway,
That's us blind.
hey, thanks for joining us on the Live the Dream Media app or watching us on X, Facebook, YouTube, and our other platforms.
Oh.
So that's the name of that tune. And
I'm impressed with the broadness of this program.
it is.
It is very broad.
Well,
And I miss Bruce.
well, I do too, but you're stuck with me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Todd, are you there?
I see him.
I see him too,
I see his mouth moving.
but nothing's coming out of it. Oh, well. Hey, This is new technology for us, and we used to do video until we got kicked off of
All right, Todd,
YouTube.
your mic is muted.
And
Probably a blessing.
probably a blessing, and just got kicked off of Facebook too. I don't know why.
There should be
No,
an
they said-
unmute
We were on there
button
yesterday.
on your screen.
They
Just
said
go
I
ahead and,
violated the
mute
terms
yourself.
and conditions. Which term and condition did I violate? They're very nebulous about
Do
that.
they have a list of them that you can access?
Yeah, well, if you can
And
get in,
do you need a lawyer to look at them?
if you can get into the account, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But in
AI.
in any event, Todd, are you with us there, buddy?
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy.
How? Hey, this is cool. The three of us
Okay.
on video. Let's hope it doesn't happen all too often.
Thank God.
Well, hold on a second. Before we start the show,
Uh-huh.
why are you wearing the Kraken shirt and not your Voices of the West shirt?
Sheriff Kraken. Release the Kraken.
But you said we were all wearing our shirts.
Well,
I asked him the same question. He said, my shirt's not ironed.
well, I didn't say it like that, but
Well, that's the way it sounded.
you know.
I'm not
So
going to
I got with the plan here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
look
know
at
you
her.
did.
Yeah.
I know. I you know. I'm
I
with you.
did what I was told.
I have no excuse whatsoever.
That's right.
No excuse whatsoever. I understand that. So
A pox upon you.
And
po-
Bunker,
a
who
po-
could be contrary in a herd of cows, even put his shirt on.
well,
Yeah.
I know. I was. Yeah, that was surprising.
Well, see, if he was a Lakota Indian, he would be considered a Hyoka, or contrary, which is not the same thing as contrary in English.
I have no idea what that means.
It means contrary.
Oh.
That means you do things backwards,
Oh.
and upside down and sideways.
I've been known to do that from
Yes,
time
you
to time.
And that's when you were sober.
Well,
Hey, let's do the show here.
We
The
won't
folk-
get
they're
into
probably
that.
they're probably wondering, boy, that inside track is going downhill fast.
No, it is not. In fact, we always have a fun time when
We do.
we're here, even when we're here with Bruce and Eb. But we always have a fun time when
Oh,
we're
that's
here.
for sure.
So,
But we need his control.
well,
Focus. We need his focus.
This is true because none of us have any kind of focus whatsoever. Anyway, what we're doing today is comedy westerns.
Yes, indeed.
That we think you ought to watch. And
they're more fun than a sack full of squirrels.
Indeed. IMDb, not necessarily a great source, but
no,
they do list, pardon me, my allergies are just going through the roof this morning. They list 250 comedic westerns, of which a number you were in, perhaps three, four or five.
That's stretching the word comedy.
Well,
not if we take it into the context that it should be taken to, which is, Bunker, were we laughing with you or were we laughing at you?
You were most likely in total shock. What is going on?
Well, so I just want to also add that I am wearing my old Cowdogs hat.
Hey, there you go.
You know, nice. So. Which was a saying that Charlie Russell would end his letters with. Old cow, where he would sign his salute or salitude was, "We're just old cow dogs and buckaroos." Mm-hmm. Charlie Russell.
That's the way to go.
All right, so comedic westerns. Actually, I think they started in the silents.
They did,
because that's where the entertainment was, in the silent movies. One that
slapstick
I think is most excellent, directed by John Ford, starring Harry Carey.
Ooh.
Straight Shooting.
Great Shooting.
I don't know that it's a comedy movie or not, but there's a scene in there where Harry is wanted by the authorities, and he hides in this giant hole in an oak tree. And the way the scene comes up, it dissolves with one of these circle tunnel things. I don't know what they call those, but that's what they were using. And he's popping out of that hole with a big old smile on his face and reading the wanted poster that's tacked onto the tree.
That is him.
And it is him. Anyway, it's a favorite scene of mine.
You know, that brings up a good point, because I was looking at some of the things that are listed as comedy westerns. And I think they're listed as comedy westerns because they just don't fit the rigid. Well, some people have a very rigid idea of what a western should be, so they have to find a category to put it in. Cheyenne Social Club is a good example of that. Yeah. It's a wonderful movie. Very, the characterizations are wonderful, but it's more of a kind of a trip through memory lane, in a sense of what cowboys might have been like.
Well, I'm sure that there was humor in the old West.
Oh yeah.
How can there not be? How do you get through life without humor?
I'll give you a perfect example of cowboy humor.
Yep.
Guy's out there in the round corral. He's breaking horses. He gets bucked off, dislocates his shoulders. All the cowboys sitting around laugh their butts off because they think that's the funniest thing they ever saw.
Until they do it themselves.
Oh, really? Yeah, of course. Because it's humor is different things to different people. But when people live in that kind of lifestyle, it's like guys in a foxhole. They laugh at things that other people would never laugh at.
That's very, very true. Todd Roberts, go in there.
So, I think it's always important to remember, and I think you guys just touched on it, which is that, humor it's all in the eye of the beholder. When certain jokes, when you try to translate them from another language to this language, they don't translate.
No.
And I think it's important to, a lot of jokes are just going to fall flat because of the reference. My favorite comedy Western is Blazing Saddles, and it harkens back to making fun of all the great Westerns. So, but even if you don't know those Westerns, I think it's still funny.
Yeah.
You still can find humor in it because humor is humor. But there are a lot of references that I think will make the film more enjoyable if you have a frame of reference to those films.
And if remember to watch these things in the times they were produced.
Well,
Don't apply today's alleged social mores to what was done in the past.
It's so funny because I think Blazing Saddles is a brilliant film. I think it's hilarious. I laugh every time I watch it, and then at the end of the movie, I feel dirty because in a sense, it's a put down too of westerns. It's not so much a satire or a parody. It's like exposing open wounds in a sense, and it's a dichotomy. I love it and I hate it.
Well, Bunker, you and I have talked about this many times. Mel Brooks is you're right. He is opening wounds. He's opening wounds in the hypocrisy of this country. He's opening wounds in the hypocrisy of Hollywood. He uses the vehicle of the Western to express it, but it's, you might say, oh, well, he did the same thing in Young Frankenstein. No, that's really more about the horror films, making fun of the horror films. He's not making fun of, I feel, he's not making fun of Westerns as much as he's really trying to poke the eye of the bear, or in this case, the country and the film industry with a sharp stick by all the hypocrisies. It's examples of it throughout the entire film.
I love exposing hypocrisies again, but it's like, because I've lived that lifestyle, there's something about, some things we watch them and we see them and they're fun, they're entertaining. Other things are personal. And part of the thing is that I'm watching guys that I've worked with and respect in there, and I'm fine with the movie up until the final sequence, when they cross over into the sound stage with the musical going on, and all of a sudden the movie just goes sour for me.
What's different about that versus the John Ford movie, Bucking Broadway, at the very end, where the cowboys are riding down Broadway and then they have that giant fight?
Because that's feasible. Okay. And the other thing, while it's feasible, it's not probable.
Okay.
It's Red Morgan and a dancer skipping out the date of the studio hand in hand. In real life, Red is a professional. He does what he was hired to do. But you know what? He wasn't happy doing it. Okay. And I wasn't happy watching him do it. Again, like I say, it's more of a personal thing than a...
Well, that's understandable. I mean, you knew him. But when you look at, for instance, the whole thing over, when the miners come in and they say, fine, we'll take the Chinese and the black, but there's no possible way we're taking the Irish. That's a commentary on this country.
Take advantage of that.
That's a commentary on this country. It's a commentary on the film industry. Especially when you take into account that the Hollywood 10 were ostracized and excommunicated and exiled, some of them jailed, Dalton Trumbo among them, for what they believed. That was not done by Washington. That was done by Hollywood. That was Jack Warner and Fox and Zanuck and Harry Cohen and all those guys. They said to Washington plainly, we will run our own, we will put together and run our own House of Un-American Activities. We'll supply you the names, we'll supply you the people to testify, and we will help pick the senators and congressmen who are the inquisitors. And they structured that, and they're the ones who threw those people out to dry.
And it's so accurate, because what it was they were afraid. They weren't afraid of communists. They were afraid that Washington would come in and try and run their business and tell them that they could do this and they couldn't do that. they wanted that total autonomy that they had, especially then.
Well,
Yeah, I would also say that they did want to run it. They didn't want any outside influences. It's not the first time we saw this. We saw this in television in the 80s with cocaine. When the cocaine investigations happened, they orchestrated their own Senate subcommittees, and they threw people out under the bus and left them out to dry. A lot of people lost their careers because of that situation. All the big people did not. All the studio heads and all the people, the power players didn't. But the people out in front of the camera, the ones they decided, yeah, these people are expendable, we'll do that, and they did that here as well. But they were afraid of communism. There were a lot of people afraid of communism. Carl Foreman was afraid of it. Elia Kazan was extremely terrified of communism. Then you had others like Robert Taylor and many others who literally wanted to go after the communists.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Taylor said, "I say we pack them all up and ship them back to Russia. I don't care who they are, including American citizens." Which is obviously there's this little thing called the Bill of Rights would have a problem with that whole process, but there were a lot of people that felt that way, and this is not uncommon. I guess my point is that this is not uncommon for Hollywood's behavior. They do this. They've done it. They will continue to do it. We'll see it again.
A perfect example is when we have the big major strikes, and they go, well, why is it taking so long to settle it? Because also it's a cleaning house period for the studios. They get rid of people that are near pension time, that never get hired back again. They get rid of people that are troublemakers, or they consider troublemakers, or people that speak out about conditions and working. And it's like it took until either late 1980 or early 1990 for the stunt Screen Actors Guild to come up with a safety committee for stunt and safety.
Well, it's early cancel culture, and we continue to experience it today. Back to the topic at hand,
yes.
Comedy westerns, one of my favorites, and I just stumbled across this movie, and I love it. Evil Roy Slade.
Oh, Hooter.
What a great cast this has. John Aston as Evil Roy, Mickey Rooney, Dick Shawn, Marshall Bing Bell, great character name, Henry Gibson, Dom DeLuise, Edie Adams, Uncle Milty, Milton Berle is in it. Let's see who else we got. Some of the usual suspects from the old Bees that are still around. Pat Buttram was the narrator of that. Anyway, absolute hilarious movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got here, and I got my own list. I came up with 10 that I not the best, but 10 that I really like.
Yeah.
And I added one, but the one I think that grounds it all and is the center of it is, I think, one of the most wonderful westerns ever made anyway, and that's The Rounders, made in 1965. It ran 85 minutes, MGM and Panavision. The director and screenwriter was Burt Kennedy, a man I knew quite well. And this guy was probably one of the most gifted writers of westerns. We can see that with the Ran Owen westerns, Bud Bedecker.
Sure.
But he also, supports your local sheriff, which is in here.
Another good one.
He knew how to write about the West, about cowboys, but he also knew how to put humor in there that was acceptable, to the cowboy, to the audience, and everybody. And just to go on here, you need to know who starred in it, and that was, of course, Henry Fonda. It was also from a novel by Max Evans, who was a favorite of Emil's and was on the show a couple of times. And Sue Ann Langdon was one of the, and Hope Holiday, they were the two working girls that had a breakdown. They pick them up. There's a great scene in there where they've gone skinny dipping, and the four of them, and the girls have lost their clothes. Well, they come up somehow or another. They scrounge up some waitress uniforms, but not the bottoms. So they've got the apron on in front, and as they're walking down the street, our two heroes
Uh-huh.
are walking behind them with their cowboy hats placed in the appropriate position.
Hey, before we
It was also shot in Sedona,
Yeah, up your home country.
my old stopping grounds there.
got to remind you, this is the Inside Track program. Let's see. Bruce Ash and Eb Wilkinson are not here today, obviously. We are. Harry Alexander, Bunker DeFrance, and Todd Roberts in Los Angeles. We are the voices of the West, amigos. And the first half of today's show brought to you by our good friend Eric Rudin from Essential Pest Control. Call Essential to keep your home or business free from all forms of insects, vermin, and weeds. Do it today. 886-3029. Hey, spring is here and the long, hot summer is right around the corner, as is allergy season. Pardon me.
Can he also work on families?
I hope so. Bugs fear essential. Call Essential Pests today to protect your home or
Because
business.
I have a lot of pests in my family.
I have a lot of pests too.
When you said that's part about vermin,
yeah,
I got worried.
Well, I think we're going to exclude you, so you can still come over.
Vermin. When you play henchmen and bad guys, you're quite often referred to as vermin.
Well, that's understandable. All right.
That's what my mother referred to as most of my dates, but that's another story.
Well,
sorry.
Speaking of your
Excuse
date,
me.
what's your movie?
Well, as I said, to me, Blazing Saddles. But I will give you a little honorable mention. I have two honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is the whole hangman's scenario and characterization by Jimmy Stewart in Bandolero when he goes to hang. Shall I say, break his brother and his outlaw companions out of jail after they tried to rob the bank in whatever that town is, Verde Vista or Villa Vista, whatever, that George Kennedy is the sheriff of. I think that's that whole scenario, and he walks into the jail and sizes up each man and goes through his little monologue of hanging a man to do it. Are you gonna go? He looks at one of the criminals about to be hung, and he says, are you one of them kind of fellas that kind of goes into it wringing your hands and weeping and crying and shaking your head, or are you gonna kind of go after it like a man? And that whole interaction, and Dean Martin standing there looking at his brother and playing along with it, keeping the cover going, the story going. I think it's honorable mention. The rest of the film is more serious, obviously. But the other one, the mention I have, honorable mention, is Jack Elam. I think that might have been maybe the greatest comedic Western actor we ever had.
Hayes.
Gabby Hayes, yes, absolutely. Gabby Hayes and Stuffy St. John and Pat Buttram and Smiley Burnett and all of them. But, Jack Elam, when he gave you those weird eyes, I start laughing just when he gives you the eye.
And which eye be staring with, you never know.
Yeah, well, one's traveling and the other one's cockeyed.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's an interesting point because a lot of westerns, because that is a serious western, but they include comedy scenes.
Yeah.
And John Ford was the master of that. All you got to look at is the Cavalry trilogy, the different scenes, the bar scene with Victor McLaughlin in the fight. And I think Ford was the master of comedy within a serious framework. Really
well, I'll agree with that. I think that there are moments in Searchers which are hilarious, absolutely hilarious,
and they're good because they break up the tension.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've talked about this in the past, that the comedic moments for me personally in Cheyenne Autumn fall short. Although I do love when they put the bar on the back of a wagon, a flatbed wagon, and take it out in the middle of the desert so that everybody's got refreshment when they're fighting Indians.
Yeah,
It's
that's
kind of that whole scenario is funny.
Well, that's that's an interesting point, that not all humor is funny, and but there are bits and pieces within that Wyatt Earp sequence, which really has not much to do with the overall story, but
No.
right, and especially when they're chasing down, they're all going off running away. It's some funny bits in there.
Well, as Ford is orchestrating it, sometimes you're laughing with him or with the characters, and other times you're laughing at the characters.
Look at old Mose in Searchers. He's not a
absolutely.
comic kid, but he does things in there that that just I fooled him, Nathan. I fooled him.
Ward Bond the same way.
Oh yeah.
In some respects, the scene where I don't remember the exact line, but about the Bible, and it was funny.
Well, it's Ward Bond and Pat Wayne when he tells him, "You watch that toad sticker," because he gets stuck.
Watch that knife, boy. Watch that knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, do we need to go to a break, or do we have a little time yet, or?
Yeah, director's there.
What you want to do?
Guy heading in the booth.
Okay, we're going to go to break. We're the Voices of the West guys, Harry Alexander, Bunker DeFrance, Todd Roberts in Los Angeles, filling in for the Inside Track Boys. And right here on Live the Dream Media. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Inside Track with Bruce Ash on the Live the Dream Media Network. Now a word from our sponsor.
It's termite season.
Hi, it's me.
And bugs fear the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control. Go blue at Essential Pest Control. We'll eliminate those bugs, bees, and termites. And stop paying too much to that national provider. Buy local for great service and affordable rates. Call Essential Pest Control because termites fear the blue.
Run for your life.
Call for the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control. 886-3029. That's 886-3029. Or check online at essentialpest.com.
This is Eb Wilkinson with Wilkinson Wealth Management, where we manage money for gun owners. What does it mean to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired? It means designing a plan that allows you to do the things you want to do, outpace inflation, and never run out of money in your lifetime. If you want to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired, call me, Eb Wilkinson, at 777-1911. That's 777-1911 or WilkinsonWealthMGMT.com.
I'm proud to welcome my good friends at Tucson Iron and Metal Retail to Inside Track as an advertiser. Jamie Kipper and her staff are conservation experts. They sell round and square steel tubing, metal plate and roofing materials, as well as new and used steel, aluminum, and stainless steel to ranchers, artists, interior designers, roofers, as well as you do-it-yourselfers out there. Tucson Iron and Metal Retail is open Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail, 701 East 36th Street. Call 520-209-1576. That's 520-209-1576. Or go to TucsonIronRetail.com. Come by and be sure to ask for Jamie. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail. This is what conservation and repurposing is all about.
Does your ordinary radio feel a little limited? If you're looking for a new way to listen, it's time for a fresh start. Introducing the Live the Dream Media app, your premier destination and a new level up for digital radio. Over the last 2 years, we've found new ways to ensure your digital radio experience is the best it can possibly be. From live podcasts that spark new perspectives to a 24/7 soundtrack of live music, and even our built-in merch store. We've built a platform that is convenient, high quality, and simple to navigate. But we're only just getting started. Catch all of our shows weekly and join the Live the Dream Media family today and help us change the airwaves forever. Download it for free on the App Store or Play Store today. Live the Dream. The dream starts now.
America was conceived in liberty, dedicated to the notion that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. To preserve them, we gather to read and reaffirm the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 8:30 a.m. at Udall Park, under the Tree of Liberty in front of the Rec Center, to read the Declaration together. On our 250th anniversary, let us be one nation, July 4th, 8:30 a.m. at Udall Park.
Welcome back to Inside Track with Bruce Ash on the Live the Dream Media Network. Now back to our show.
Howdy, welcome back to Inside Track. Obviously, I am not Bruce Ash.
You don't look like him.
And you don't look like Eb Wilkinson.
I certainly don't.
And Todd Roberts is with us from Los Angeles.
And he looks like Todd Roberts.
He does. We are the voices.
Sure.
We're the Voices of the West guys. And
some days I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, Bruce and Eb are away on business, so they say, and they asked us. I think they just wanted a day off.
Yeah.
They asked us
Good news for our team.
Yeah, I know, huh? We'll fill in for them. By the way, we do have a podcast. It's Voices of the West is the podcast, and it's available at our website, voicesofthewest.net. There's a radio player there that's streaming old time cowboy music, and every Saturday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we interrupt that music to bring you the program.
Yes, we do. And it's a wonderful program.
That's what
we don't expect to tune in and get any real culture or value.
Well, no,
it's
because
just like riding a train with Harry.
Well, see, I had fun. I don't know about you.
No, I
had too much fun.
Too much
He's
fun.
too serious.
I know. Well, we had to pour each other off the train.
I'm sure. I bet the conductor was glad. He probably had a
we scared the bartender.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're doing comedy westerns on this edition of Inside Track / Voices of the West. And
Inside
Bunker,
Voices of the Track.
Well, there's that too. Bunker, you've got one that you want to do?
Yes, I do. This is a wonderful, funny, beautiful movie called Go West, 1940, black and white. For all you Luddites out there, that's for us. And it was made by MGM. It starred these four brothers, Groucho, Chico, Harpo, and actually the other brothers weren't there. John Carroll was in there. He was the singing cowboy. And, that's an interesting thing. John Carroll was brought on as a competition for Clark Gable. And he did a lot of stuff like Gable, and he could sing. But unfortunately, he got in trouble with one of the studio's head's girlfriend, and so his career went slowly downhill. Mm-hmm. But in this thing, he did a wonderful job of singing and courting the lovely Diana Lewis. Now, what makes this movie so special is that the Marx Brothers make and unmake the Old West. And, if you've ever seen Groucho in the West, you have not. Boy. But the high spot of this movie is the train chase. And the brothers, that's the Marx Brothers, they're chasing this other train. And they're running out of wood for the fire, for the engine. They slowly dismantle the whole train until there's nothing left but the engine and the tinder.
Wow.
But the antics is just, it's delightful. If you've never seen it, watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. And I wish they'd run it more often, because that's something I would definitely watch every time.
Well, it will not it will not be the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. Todd, you got a movie?
Well, I think that both of your support your local sheriff and support your local gunfighter are two gems. Again, we have the great James Garner, who John Wayne said was the best working actor that he knew of. Jack Elam, Suzanne Flechette, Harry Morgan. You had a lot of people with a lot of talent. and I just think it points to a time in Hollywood where they were willing to look at themselves and laugh, and as opposed to now when they take everything serious, especially their Starbucks order. Um, you know, uh,
See, there's comedy right there.
There you go.
well, and that life or death over whether or not you get oat milk or soy milk. And how the wheels come off the train quickly, and how it's hard to navigate. So I just think that in general, from the 70s and the 60s, you saw a lot of that. The last one that I really appreciate was Wrestler's Rhapsody with Tom Berenger and Patrick Wayne,
Oh yeah.
Fernando Rey and Andy Griffith, where, in a lot of ways, that is very similar to Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein, where it's poking it's poking at the solely at the genre of the Hollywood Western of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the B Westerns. He sends a guy out to um, he's got a sidekick. He says, "Oh, you got to go out. You got to go back to my camp and get this outfit." And he describes it to him, certain color, certain fringe, this and that. And the guy starts to run back to the camp, and he goes, "Wait, no, not that one. Get the yellow shirt." um, and it's that whole thing. A lot of people didn't like the Buster Scruggs thing from the Coen brothers. But I found it to be very funny.
I mean, I don't know why.
Yeah,
Anything the Coens put out is excellent.
It's pretty funny. But it really, the Buster Scruggs to me, and they might disagree and they might say that I'm wrong, but to me it reminds me of the Twilight Zone episode where the guy is a Hollywood TV movie cowboy, and he's doing a series every week, and every week he wins and shoots the bad guy and captures him, throws him in jail or whatever, or kills him, and gets the girl and wins at the card game and everything else. And then all of a sudden, in the episode, this guy shows up who is an angel, but he's not a nice angel. He's a mean, mischievous angel, and he's like, well, who are you? And leave me alone. And so on and so forth. And he says, well, here's the deal. If you want to still stay this guy and drive your brand new Thunderbird and live your nice life and have your big house and get your big salary, we're going to have some things are going to change. Well, what's that? He goes, well, you'll see. And from then on, every episode, he gets the tar beaten out of him and he gets thrown off his horse and he never gets the girl again. But he does get his money, and he does get to keep the car and the house.
Right.
So, and I think Buster Scruggs is inspired from that.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of movies I want to touch on just quickly. Support your local sheriff. Walter Brennan and his sons, Bruce Dern. That is beautiful. It's just a beautiful. It fits everything so beautifully. It's seamless in the story. And it's great stuff. And the other thing,
a lot of it has to do with casting.
Oh yeah,
a good casting director. Right?
And then with Wrestler's Rhapsody, the bad guy, or one of the bad guys, is Pat Wayne, and he's playing a good guy.
Yeah.
But he's exposed at the end because he's what? A lawyer. Yeah.
Well, it just shows you the range of these actors. Bruce Dern and Walter Brennan, how they could be in a comedy, but they're two of the most evil guys you've ever come across. Walter Brennan in My Darling Clementine, and Bruce Dern basically throughout his career. I mean, the Cowboys, or any of the TV westerns that he did, or any of the other things he did. Hang 'Em High with Clint Eastwood. Any of these characters that he's played, and that his range is that far and that wide that he could go from comedy to true evil and personify it. I think it just
evil, Harry. What you got?
Well, what I've got is to remind everybody this portion of the program is brought to you by Ebb's great company, Wilkinson Wealth Management. Ebb helps Bruce's family, and he can help you. So let Ebb comfortably guide you and your family into a secure retirement and stay comfortably retired. Wilkinson Wealth Management, give him a call today, pardon me, at 777 1911. 777, I can't do a slide click there, 1911.
11, yes.
Inside Track also brought to you by Essential Pest Control, Tucson Iron and Metal Retail, and Bruce's family-run company, Paul Ash Commercial Real Estate, where their great team makes great things happen every day. Two other things I would like to remind you about here. First, our friend Chris DeSimone is running for Oro Valley Town Council, and all successful campaigns depend on financial support, so please go to his campaign website, and that is chrisforov.com, and let Chris know that you support him by donating some bucks to his campaign, like Ebb and Bruce did. Whether it's $5 or $5,000, doesn't matter.
Vote early and vote often.
Well, that's a Chicago thing. And speaking of Chicago, local friend and patriot Charles Heller was on the show last week, and he's planning a special public reading of the Declaration of Independence on the 250th anniversary of our country's founding. It starts about 8:30 a.m., July 4, at Udall Park under the Tree of Liberty, as he has for many years. Ebb and Bruce hope to get at least 250 patriots to show up for this great event. We would encourage you to show up for this event.
We're there.
We have participated in this event 5-10 years, something like that.
And Charles has got an added incentive. He said he's going to set up a coffee pot with his infamous hazelnut coffee.
Well, we'll see about that.
I'm not crazy about hazelnut, but that's Charles.
Yeah, I know. We'll see about that. Okay, my movie here to talk about is A Million Ways to Die in the West. Seth MacFarlane wrote it, directed it, produced it, I believe, and Liam Neeson's in it. Neil Patrick Harris, NPH. Sarah Silverman. I don't necessarily like Sarah Silverman, but she was pretty good in this one. Wes Studi was in it.
The great Wes Studi.
Yes, all kinds of other folks. There's a great scene in there. There's a big old bar fight happening, and the main character, Seth, and his other guy, they're trying to retreat away from this fight until something happens, and they say, "Okay, we got to start the fight." And so they just start slapping at each other like that, like little girls.
It's fun.
The Three Stooges.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, hey.
And Liam Neeson was the heavy.
Yeah, I know. It may not have social redeeming value, but it was funny. So
he made it make people laugh.
Well,
if you've seen South Park, you know what you're going to get.
Well, and or all the family.
Family Guy.
Family Guy. Thank you. All right.
Okay, well, let's do Laurel and Hardy's Way Out West.
Nice.
1937. MGM, black and white, but they colorized. In fact, it was the second movie colorized. I'm not a fan of colorization, but that's okay. And Stan Laurel was actually the producer on it. And, of course, the cast was Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. And James Finlayson was one of the people in it. It was filmed at the Hal Roach Studios. And this is an interesting thing because the boys are tricked into delivering a mind deed to the wrong girl. Mm-hmm. And so the rest of the movie is trying to get it back. Mm-hmm. But there's a dance sequence in there that the two boys do. And the music is just, it's if you can picture the two of them, and it is graceful and beautiful. And this is the sidebar on that. The Oscar for Best Score went to Marvin Hatley, which that was part of the score, was the dance sequence.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I got another one here that Mr. DeFrance will be very familiar with. Done in 1972, The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean.
Oh, that's a very serious movie.
Yeah, The comedic action here is when you see the guy hanging with the noose there, and all the hookers are getting their picture taken. That's Bunker, who was he was hanging around.
I was well hung around the hookers. Yeah.
Anyway, Paul Newman, I thought it was a good movie.
There's a footnote to that. That movie is, and I didn't come across. I watched it again here last week, and I realized, excuse me, it's very existential, and it is a movie that you can watch or you can listen to. It's a listen, because the words and the dialogue and the play of stuff in there. And our good friend Neil Summers, who just passed away, he was Snake Eye Rufus Cryle, who shoots Lily Langtry's poster and gets himself annihilated by the boys.
Big time. Two others quickly here.
That film, by the way, Harry, was written by John Milius,
yes,
the great writer, directed by John Huston. Milius, of course, wrote and directed Red Dawn, wrote and directed Conan and the Barbarian, wrote and directed Dillinger with War Notes, wrote Apocalypse Now, wrote Dirty Harry. I think it just shows his range as an artist, that he could write stuff that funny and comedic.
That, though, the most important part. Every morning, Huston and Milius would go out hunting, and we would show up on the set and wait for them to come back from hunting.
Are they going after prairie chickens?
They were going after dove. Okay. It was dove season.
All right, two movies that were made here in at Old Tucson. Three Amigos.
Yep.
and that and The Villain. Todd, take off on Three Amigos.
Well, the interesting part of this film is, yes, it's a comedy and everybody in it is funny, but you've got a lot of serious actors in this film.
Yep.
Joe Montega is the studio head, who is a very good, serious actor, but a very nice person, a very funny guy in general. Just as a side note, his uncle was part of General Patton's security force.
Wow.
In Europe, on his tank crews. But you've also got Alfonso Arau, who plays El Guapo, who is one of Apache's two lieutenants, maybe the ultimate bad guys, more so than Walter Brennan, more so than Bruce Stern in the Wild Bunch. Alfonso Arau is one of those guys. He is El Guapo in this, but he also, it's important to remember, he also wrote and basically adapted for the screen and directed Like Water for Chocolate, which was a great film. Very talented. I just watched him the other day in a color during the first days of color back in the late 60s, early 70s of Tales of Wells Fargo, where he played basically the same character of El Guapo against, of course, the one and only Robertson. It's just amazing how talented he was. And, Alfonso Arau, I met him years ago. I was at a car wash. I looked over and I see him standing there. He's with a very beautiful, young, much younger girl. And she's got a notepad and like a book, a ledger. And I walk up to him and I said, Mr. Arau, I'm a big fan. I loved you in The Wild Bunch and I loved you in Three Amigos. And you like my movie? Oh, that's fabulous. What is your name, senor? And he was more interested in talking to me than I was interested in talking to him. And I was very, very much interested in talking to him.
I understand that.
Oh, cool.
He was just really, really engaging and gracious, a real first-class guy. Very funny dude.
Our other movie filmed at Old Tucson that I mentioned, The Villain, starring Kirk Douglas, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Margaret.
And don't forget Paul Lynde.
And Paul Lynde.
There's the Indian chief. and Robert Tessier as his right-hand Indian brave.
My God. You worked that movie,
Yeah, I worked that, and I got to tell you, that movie, It's a Roadrunner movie, but
Yeah, Warner
the
Brothers. Big time.
I can't remember his name now. The special effects guy on that, with the sequence with the boulder running down the hill,
Right.
he had that remote controlled boulder. He could speed it up, slow it down, turn it to the left or the right. He's also the guy that built Hal Needham's car that broke the land speed record.
Uh-huh.
Heidecker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but and this is one of the neat things too is here's Kirk Douglas. He's no spring chicken now. He's
No.
in his 60s at least by then, and they get ready to do a shot, and they're going to Mickey Gilbert's going to double him, and he goes, "No, I'm doing it." And that's the shot where he's down there between the team,
Uh-huh.
and they're running.
Yeah.
He's down there right. This guy, I have so much respect because he's got bad reputation for some things, but as being a professional and wanting things to be as good as they can be, he's a number one man.
I think Kirk Douglas is one of his best movies is 7 Days in May.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Last Train from Gun Hill is a personal favorite.
Yep.
Because, of course, of Anthony Quinn and Brad Dexter and Earl Holliman. But, Douglas
and the Empire
really, he can really stand up to Quinn in that film.
Yeah.
His acting.
There are, I think we're getting to the point where we're almost out of time. There are bunches of Westerns of all types out there.
I'm going to throw some out real quick.
Yeah. Why don't you do that?
Zorro the Gay Blade with George Hamilton. You mentioned the villain. I mentioned that one. Russell's Rapley. North to Alaska, one of the greatest mud fights of all time.
Yeah.
McClintock, another great mud fight. City Slickers, hilarious. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
the Cowboys is also in that list.
A Big Hand for a Little Lady. Okay, we done that one.
The original Zorro. The original Zorro with Tyrone Power and Basil Rathbone.
Oh,
my God, he is so funny when he's masquerading as the dandy, and just his reactions and his comebacks to Basil Rathbone when he's talking about that his little hobby is his sword, and he's like, a little too sharp for me, and just the way he plays that character, it shows that his depth as an actor as well.
And don't forget the Paleface with Bob Hope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Broken Jaw, the sheriff of Broken Jaw.
Yeah. Oh, there's just so many of them. You could go on and on and on and on and on.
Tons of them. And
Hallelujah Trail.
Yeah. Dirty Dingus McGee.
Oh no.
And you worked that one too.
I worked that one. That was, that was.
I'm starting to see a theme here.
That was
Bunker mentions them if he made money.
That was a funny.
But that's okay. That's okay.
The script before we ever shot it. Burt Kennedy did the script, and it was hilarious. But it was written for a 21-year-old guy. Oh, so anyhow, we ended up with Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was a pox on that movie, but just sitting with Jack Elam and Bob Terhune, them telling stories back and forth between them, almost killed me. I was sitting in a wicker chair with the bottom out, so I'm sitting on the edge.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing so hard, I fell back into the hole. Well, okay, you can get up. I got a stitch in my side from laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't get out of the chair. I think that's the closest I ever came to dying on a movie set.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Great stories. What about Tony?
I will say that we have honorable mention for the Monty Walsh in regards to giving the camp cookie a bath.
Yep.
Is very fun.
Yeah.
And Lee talking about the guy who would fight wolves.
And his final monologue after it's all over, he's going off into the wilderness. He's talking to the wolf.
Well, he's talking to the horse about the guy who used to wrestle the wolves. He keeps telling that story. Did I ever tell you about that the guy who'd wrestle wolves? No, I ain't never seen it, but I heard tell of it.
That's hilarious.
What else we got? We have a little bit of time left. I'm thinking.
Okay. Well, what about Cat Ballou? Cat Ballou is very important in a landmark sense in that comedy westerns hadn't been made for a long time, and it was very successful.
And it was a big budget movie as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, fairly big. The studio didn't want to spend that kind of money on it, but they ended up. Somebody talked to somebody, and somebody did somebody, and somebody did something, and somebody gave.
It's also the first time that a actor won Best Oscar for a comedic role in a western.
Yes, and
being Lee Marvin, even though he really got it for all the other roles he had played. But I would venture to say that maybe his best roles came after.
Oh yeah,
whether it's Monty Walsh or Point.
That was before though, wasn't it?
No, it was 65 was Cat Ballou. So, he had Point, what is it called? Point
what
blank, now?
Blank.
Point Blank, Hell in the Pacific, The Professionals, The Spikes Gang, which is somewhat funny too at certain moments.
Yeah.
But, Easy Money, his best roles might have come after.
Pocket Money, which is
Pocket Money,
a strange movie, but it's really a comedy. Although a lot of people didn't know it when they watched it, but there's a sequence in there with him and Paul Newman. They're sitting around the campfire, and Newman is telling this story that is pointless and goes nowhere, and they're passing the bottle back and forth. And at one point, Newman passes the bottle to Marvin, and he concludes the story, the point of the story. And Marvin, his marvelous takes of, what, and he'd hand the bottle back to Newman, and Newman would reach for it, and he'd pull it back and take some more. And in the way it was originally set up, you're supposed to do it twice, and Newman to get the bottle. He kept it going for about 5 of those. The funny thing is, when you watch the movie, and it was fantastic, you don't see anything but the first 2 moves, because Newman produced the movie, and he thought that made him look foolish.
Oh.
And it was everybody. We're all watching this scene, and everybody's doing their best not to laugh and ruin the shot.
Yeah. Here's another one for slapstick comedy aficionados: Horses' Collars, Three Stooges, 1935.
Oh, they did a ton of those westerns. They're all great. Wow.
I mean, it's the
Jock Mahoney did a bunch of them with him.
Yeah, it's the Three Stooges, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife doesn't like them. I don't know why. She loves the Marx Brothers.
Well, it's a different type of comedy. Different type.
Yeah.
These guys were so innovative, and they did stuff. Early on, in the early 30s, right after Sound, they did one show, and it was almost 40 minutes. It was almost a feature in length. It was all singing. There was not one word of spoken dialogue in it.
Yeah. But I'm not sure is a comedy. It kind of a dark comedy, I guess. Going South, 1978.
Oh, yeah, with Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson, Mary Steenburgen, and John Belushi as a Mexican bandit.
No, and the little guy from Taxi.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah. He's the shortest cowboy on record.
Anyway, it's a good story, and Nicholson doesn't get exactly what he wants out of it, but kind of does. He got free. So.
There's one for you that I know you guys are not familiar with. Slapsy Maxie Wins the West.
Okie dokie.
Maxie Rosenblum. Oh, and Lemonade Joe, Czechoslovakian Western.
Wow.
And shot in lemon color.
Describe what lemon color is. Well,
they had a yellow filter on it, so instead of it being a sharp black and white, it was a muted black and yellowish white. And it's the premise is that the Lemonade Kid, his job is to go out throughout the West as a spokesman for Coco Loco Lemonade. And they have a shootout at the end with the bad guy, who, of course, is the saloon owner.
Of course.
And the saloon owner realizes that him and his gang are losing the fight. He rushes back into the saloon while the hero fights his way into the saloon, and there's nobody left in the saloon but this one guy.
Yeah.
And the hero doesn't recognize him because it's the bad guy in blackface. I know that's politically incorrect, and you know what? I don't care.
That's Bunker at voicesofthewest@gmail.com. All right, I think that's about going to wrap us up for.
Yeah, I think we ran over
for this. The time is of the essence.
Oh, our man in the booth hasn't said anything.
Yes, he has.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
He said, "Did he say shut up and go home?"
No, he said you were busy. You were busy. That's why you didn't hear.
Oh, I didn't.
Or you don't have your.
No, I'm not. He's not on my headset.
Probably a good thing because
Yeah.
you'd be talking back to him.
Yes, I would.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on Inside Track for a special Voices of the West. Please tune in again next week when Bruce and Eb have an action-packed show planned just for you. Until then, for Eb Wilkinson and Bruce Ash, I'm Harry Alexander, Bunker DeFrance, Todd Roberts in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining us, Todd. We appreciate.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Eb.
Trails 1 and 0.
Yeah, happy trails and so long, everybody.